Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Blades of Roses, the show where all of these assholes had the opportunity to create a courtesan from fantasy Venice. They didn't, and I'm mad about it.
Hello, and welcome to the Blades of Roses, a stream that is very wholesome, but our Discord chat is all bratting.
Welcome to the Blades of Roses, where we avoid the danger by running straight towards it.
Welcome, everyone, to our wonderful story here at Blades of Roses, where the fuckery keeps on happening because none of us have the mental capacity to, focus on the plot.
Welcome to the Blades of Roses, where I steal shit, Mez stab shit, Cass, and Christoph try and stop us from doing it. And Smoke tries to read a book.
Hello, and welcome to the Blades of Roses, where we remind you to drink water every episode, but we don't actually do it.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Blades of Roses, where we talk about dads, not daddies, because we might be kinksters, but we all have dad issues in here.
Hello, and welcome to the Blades of Roses, where we answer the question, what happens when you put generational trauma and religious trauma together into one stream?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Blades of Roses, because someone thought that a Three Musketeers telenovela would be a good idea. The winds blow in the air, the waves rock, and the lady's laughter, a beautiful merchant ship, flies through the waves. It doesn't fly any particular flag. It flies a mercantile flag. It works for a company. It pays tolls, but it's done good business. In particular, of late, it has sailed particularly well with its sails under the expert mastery of one Smoke, Reina Gustavo, who has been aboard for about a year now. It's been a good job for her. She always feels like she's being paid fairly. The captain listens to her when she tells her that the sails just can't take a particular beating anymore. And right now, there isn't a whole lot to do. You've got a strong wind at your back. You're at full sails. And you know that this particular job, you've played more than a little bit of the role of the quartermaster in saying that the hold is full of stuff that would catch actually a better price at Labuka than anywhere else. And you're pretty sure you can get them in and out of Labuka without any of the worries about piracy that some of the merchant companies have. And so you clamber down from the ropes, convinced that everything is as it should be. And Captain Donovan, a good friend for these couple of years, walks up to you and says, "Hey, Smoke, doesn't get better than sailing like this, does it?"
It's definitely a beautiful day, sir.
So, you made port in Labuka before.
Families from Labuka. We didn't stay there much. We sailed tried and true in other places, but that does mean having the occasional relationship already built up.
Very good, very good. Well, if they've the coin to buy what we have, this will certainly be a profitable voyage. Certainly saves us all the time of sailing up to Veston, trying to get rid of the goods there and dealing with all the ice this time of year. This works out. We might have to make some more long-term business arrangements.
I could potentially set you up with a few of the more trustworthy merchants. They would be the ones that would remember the parents.
He looks around. I think I'm going to let the young ones. It's a fairly calm sea. I don't see any sails. Did you see anything when you were up there?
No, it looked fair as any day.
Well, then why don't you come with me into my quarters and we can let the kids run the ship for a while and build up some experience.
Okay.
He walks into his captain's cabin, and even though the lady's laughter has a sizable, it is a trade galleon, it's got a sizable captain's quarters. For the most part, it is set up as his office. He has a tiny cot in the corner, and most of the rest is given to running his different trade operations and stuff like this. It's never been particularly opulent, though it certainly could have been. He invites you in, gestures to one of the heavy chairs at the table, and pours a couple of cups full of rum. And he takes a seat and offers to trade.
To trade, Captain.
So, I've always been meaning to ask. You've contacts, talent. You clearly know your way around a boat better than some of the most seasoned sailors I've ever been with. Why are you still just a topmaster? You should have had your own ship 3 times over by now.
I would have inherited my parents' ship had it not gone down. And then it just was taking the time to realize what I lost. It's been hard trying to rebuild a reputation from the last so many years.
What was the ship you sailed on again?
The Crimson Sparrow.
Oh. I remember hearing of her. One of my first outings. Captain always talked about wishing that he could recruit you all to sail with his particular merchant fleet. Said you all preferred to sail solo.
My parents were like that. Very fair in trade. We got in and out of ports very quickly. Never really lost cargo.
Heard you all kick some pirates off your decks a few times. Good in a fight.
Yep. Back in
And
the
Eisen. Trade missions in Eisen in the middle of the war.
yeah. Oh, that was interesting. First run in with things that weren't quite alive.
You know, we of the sea find that the living are difficult enough.
Right? And then they come back to haunt us. No, it was definitely a good time. In my younger years, the parents wanted to make sure I had a well-rounded education and dropped me off for a couple of years at one of the dueling schools. Hence the reason why I'm as good as I am in many things.
Again, like, I get that the timeline's weird, particularly when you lose a ship you were advancing on, but I don't like speaking of those that have gone, and I'm sorry for bringing it up. But I wanted you to know that I know what killed the Crimson Sparrow. And I'm not asking you to disembark. And I understand why it's not something you speak of normally.
Also why I haven't gotten my own ship. A lot of sailors are superstitious. And every time I think I have found a home to grow with, a place to sail, that information slips out. And there's more superstition about the killing of a storm-kissed than there is about the bad luck. So, of course, you were never on our ship. You have no reputation anymore. Go do something else.
Well, you're one of the finest sailors I've ever had the opportunity to sail with. And I just wanted you to know, not very loudly, because we do have some superstitious sorts aboard as well, but I wanted you to know that I knew. And that, if anything, knowing that you've come through something like that and lived to see the other side makes me a little bit more comfortable when you're up there when the winds are hitting us hard.
It's definitely not something you forget. Not very easily. Thank you for the trust, Captain.
Of course, you've more than earned it. It's 2 years sailing together. I've never seen the sails run so well. And all of a sudden, the ship gets a really weird lurch, like it hit a wave wrong. And apparently, the hands-off training has come to an end.
They'll get it, Captain.
It's the only way for them to learn. Where did they get a wave like that on a day like this? And he walks out, and he says it just as a passing thought. But it hits you different. And you step outside, almost expecting to see it again. But no. Still a clear day, and a rogue wave just hit in the worst way possible. And you are able to scamper up into the ropes to get your various ropemen and topmen back under control. And this voyage continues like that for several hours until in the distance you can see, starting to rise up above the waves, beautiful green like emerald rising out of a sea of sapphire. The island of Labuka, the pirate's paradise. A nation almost to itself. No marching army to speak of, but a navy that could make the world tremble if they could ever agree on anything for 5 consecutive seconds.
That would be it.
One of the boys scampering around on the ropes looks out at you and is like, is it true what they say about that place?
Which thing are you thinking of?
Are they all pirates?
What is a pirate? But somebody who just wants freedom from the confines of normal society.
Do they have a king?
They have a governor. They have a sea monster.
What kind of sea monster?
Nobody's seen it in the last so many years, but something with like great tentacles that lives underneath the island. It's just there enough to keep everybody in line.
If they offer shore leave, do you recommend it?
Stick to the docks. Don't go inward on the island. The places near the docks are all safe.
All right.
Also, don't harass any of the children. Just don't do it.
I mean, I wasn't planning on it, but okay.
You don't want the mother coming after you.
And left with that comment, the boy climbs up to the crow's nest, looking like maybe he wants to stay up there for a good while. The lady's laughter slides effortlessly into the port, and there are a couple moments where some other ships come up close as if taking a good look. Instructions are kind of shouted back and forth with the helmsman about where to go in. And sauntering up on the dock as the lady's laughter starts tying onto the deck is a particularly salty-looking dockmaster. And the captain gives you a bit of a, okay, I think this is the one you're in charge of. Look.
Smoke will come down, and Sword sitting at the side, and call out. We'll pause here and cut in. Because I had a name for him a second ago, and then my brain just totally lost it. Is there another name for Dockmaster?
Harbor Master.
Harbor Master. Yeah. Okay. I know what I'll do, because there is a legend around that. So, okay. So I'll back that up for a second. Smoke will come down, go up towards the where the ramp will be. Ahoy, Harbor Master! I have our traditional gift of peace, and from behind she'll pull out a small flask of rum. May we come aboard? Or come ashore?
Oh, I was saying I didn't expect anyone would know to give the gift from a ship such as this, but what you have aboard before you disembark?
We're just looking to get a good price for some of the goods we have here, rum being among it.
Well, there's always a good price for rum in Labuka. It's 3 Castilian guilder for the day. And the purser comes up and handles that bit. And, all right. And he takes the rum. Montagnan?
We just came from there.
Usually they bring the wine, but the rum isn't bad. Aye, y'all are fine. So as the crew starts to disembark and the trade starts happening and the harbor master starts his usual haggling with the captain, Smoke has other business upon him. You walk out and doing exactly what you warned the boy not to do as you step away. And the further away from the docks of Labuka you get, the more the line between the jungle of the island and the buildings comes over. Labuka is strange. No matter how much they try to cut it back, everything always seems overgrown. The vines, the leaves, the plant life. It's like everything grows on fast forward on this island.
It does.
And as you step out and you start walking, very quickly you feel like you're almost more in ruins than anything. People living in shacks and buildings where vines have long broken through walls, and no matter how fast they cut them or patch them, gets to the point where the buildings are more woven into the jungle than forcibly built into it.
Mm-hmm.
And walking around, you see, in particular, one building where it's almost like you're walking into a tree. The building might be as many as 3 or 4 stories high, but all around it is this gigantic, deep, dark tree with a canopy many stories above your heads. And even though it's a beautiful day, you can still see from the last rain that the cup-like leaves are still dripping down as if it's always raining around this particular door. And at the moment it seems unoccupied, but there's absolutely no mistaking that this is the place.
As quiet as death as always. Go walking up to the door, knocking. May I come in?
An old man, withered and gnarled, walking on a cane, as withered and gnarled as he is. Hey?
It's good to see you again.
It's you. Didn't know we'd be seeing you back again.
Quite a few years since.
Is your little lady Luck with you?
No.
A falling out, then.
She had other adventures to be on.
Aye. Well, he's looking at you in particular, like you realize he's kind of like looking at the skin that he can see in your current arrangement, which is quite creepy. Well, you know the cost. Willing to pay?
Yes.
And she's ready for you. Come in. And he leads you in through rooms, and it's very quickly, you have the ability, you can keep track of the lady's laughter, and it acts as a compass in this place. But as you go deeper and deeper and you go up and down stairs, it's really easy to get thrown off, as if this building, even grown into a tree as it is, it doesn't immediately make sense that the inside would fit into the outside. And tricks of the brain, and you're never quite sure, are you above ground, are you below ground? There's always wood, but is this the wood of roots? Are you up in the trunk? And you move around, and then you come into a room better lit than any of the others, with torches all around, and a table, stone table set in the middle of it, and symbols all around. And laying on that table is a woman nearly as withered as the man, but a lot more spry. As the door opens, she kind of hops up, jumps down. I remember you. Come in.
Come in and unhook the sleeves. It's been a few years.
It has. Is he still with you?
Oh, he is. And at this point, knowing that he has moved and decided that he's sitting underneath the side, like right here on the back panel, I'll lift up my shirt so that she can see Bruce, my shark, kind of feeling like he's going to nip at something right over here.
She reaches out and grabs your wrist, and with her hand gives a slight tickling. And at that, he moves around and comes out onto your arm and starts almost playfully nibbling at her finger. There you are. You been good for Miss Smoke? No. You're not a good boy. Hungry. You feeding him?
I periodically try and get a regular tattoo.
Oh, he doesn't like that.
He eats them. But it keeps him happy-ish.
Well, what are you here for? I don't often have someone who gets brought and then returns on their own.
I can feel her searching for me. Bruce feels it. That's why he's so twitchy. He wants to go after that one. And that'll eventually happen. I think you need some help, though.
Yes. I've seen quite a bit of her. Not many have the price, but she seems to have a knack for finding it.
Some days feel like she might stage it and has figured it out.
So again, I ask, you're getting him a friend?
Yes. Bruce's skills are very useful. But I also know how this works. They are more compliant when I let the artist make the choice.
First, we make the ink. And then we'll see what the ink thinks. And she goes back, and there in the back of the room is a set of drawers, and she starts rooting through it. And comes out with a dagger about yay long. And it's got a hollow tip.
Yep.
Preference of arm, dear? Leg, I suppose.
Smoke will jump up onto the table and flash one of her left leg open and have it there.
She
I know
very deftly spins the dagger in her fingers and then stabs. And you remember when this happened before and you were being held and they forced something into your mouth to stop the bite. None of these precautions taken now. And it hurts. But also there's a sense of almost suction, and you can feel it's like the knife is hungry or thirsty. And you watch as Bruce goes down to where the knife is, and it's almost like he's trying to lap at the blood that is starting to be suctioned deeper and deeper into the blade. And you watch as the blade goes from a dull black, almost like a seasoned cast iron, and starts to become brighter and more vibrant with a red tint behind it. Ooh, don't worry, friend. You'll have a playmate soon enough. And then, once the knife is fully transformed, she pulls it out again and places a bandage over it, basically wraps one in place. They say the parchment defines the art. Which parchment should we use today?
Apologies. What do you mean by parchment?
What
Like
bit of skin?
Oh, which kind? Okay. Side note, there is no orca tattoo. So if we're gonna do that, are we adjusting, like making a power for it, or are we just doing it for the sake of doing it?
We'll talk about what it'll entail. I have no problem in putting in a different tattoo or having it be a variation on Bruce that is yours that you claim. Maybe one powered by Mother Ocean rather than the allies of. Anyway.
Okay.
And remind me what you get here.
What do I get?
Your second tattoo.
Oh, okay. So, I was actually just looking at them. Wrong screen. That's why. There is the anchor, which that activated allows another hero in a scene to gain a hero point. And then the major is you select another individual and you're bound to the person so that the two of you always know direction and distance for like when the party splits.
That's helpful, particularly that gives someone a hero point.
Exactly. Because, again, it's harder for me to get hero points, but if I can give a hero point with it, that would also be very helpful.
Yeah.
The turtle is you spend your first raise in a round to activate the Mo'u. For the rest of the round, you take 1 fewer wounds from all sources. And after you activate it, the major is you may negate the wounds inflicted on you from a single attack.
Handy.
So my thought was possibly one of those two. And then there's 3 others, but like the crab, activate the Mo'u when you spend raises to take wounds in place of another character. The wounds you take are reduced by half. And you can prevent another character's murder by spending only a single raise to protect the character. Because the crab is like a protector guardian.
I like all this. How about for now,
How about like we make
just
it,
have the tattoo put on and
Have-
you know where it is?
the tattoo put on and it seem like it takes time for it to develop. And over time, the tattoo will finish itself, which is why dealer's choice is so important.
Yeah.
We can describe it that way. Like she can make it like a map, or she can make it like a picture of the island itself.
Mm-hmm.
And then over time, the ink will absorb and whatever.
Okay. All right. Resume in 3, 2.
I would prefer having it where I can see it. My other arm, since Bruce likes to hang out on this one.
She holds the dagger up and leans it over and uses it to stroke your cheek. The blood powers the tattoo. She moves the knife over and places it in what seems to be an inkwell. And it also, you watch as the ink gets drained up and mixes and just starts going back and forth. The storm-kissed who does not fear the sea. Who knows that the legends are true and doesn't care. No sacrifice. Just cost. This could be nearly anything. You've offered me a choice. I like that. But I don't think I'll be the one doing the choosing. Mother. One by one, the torches in the room start to go out in a circle around as things get darker and darker. And you hear her light giggle, mostly ominous, but with just a hint of panic or maybe frenzy on the end of it. And you feel as what feels like scaly hands grip your arms and your legs, and another gets placed on your head, and you are forced down onto the table. Storm kiss, child, so brave. And then ping, a stab. Only a little bit, but you feel it. And then another. And then another. Faster and faster and faster. Faster than human hands could possibly have done it. Almost faster than one knife could possibly be doing it. It's just... And it starts as just an irritating pain, but then it starts to get hot. And then you start hearing a sound like wind, like waves, but not calm, not the calm ocean, but pulsing, angry, hungry. The red squall in your blood, always there, always ready. And then suddenly it stops. And the lights all come back. The old woman is hunched over in a corner and she kind of lifts her face from her hands. And you look down at your arm and there's nothing. What did she choose?
I can't see it yet. I can feel it though.
The gift takes time. You know the way of the sea. What the pirate takes is just there. True investment needs time to appreciate. She really likes you. You come back, child.
Sure. Next time I come back, is there anything else I can bring you?
In Montaigne, painted porcelain dolls. I think they're pretty, but the pirates always break them.
I will see what I can find. Maybe a little while before I come back. You know, being hunted and all.
That's the best part of being hunted. You always know where your hunter is going.
She'll come to me eventually.
Do play with her a bit. Don't make it too easy. And scene. It is a lovely night in Inishmore. Your family holdings are well outside of the capital. This is it overlooks the moors of the southern part of the island, and it has a view, almost insultingly, of the castle in the capital that for 3 generations was held by an O'Toole. And now there's nothing wrong with the family estate. It's very nice. You've got good farms. It's always been profitable land to hold. But there's been resentment. Once upon a time, maybe your father would have been king of Inishmore. Not certain. The family politics had gotten pretty bloodthirsty there by the end. All the more because you had to impress whatever Montagnan was holding the governorship. But that problem got solved. As that happened, a new king, or an old king, had claimed the throne. But such things have not generally been your problem. You are aware of the fact that they will one day be your problem.
Of course they are.
But of late, you've been able to pursue your education in the many ways you saw fit. You had recently had a fairly long dancing lesson with Edgar. You practiced dance moves for all of 5 minutes, and then the swords came out. As the master of the Aldana school took his latest favorite protege and continued to teach you how to weave the music and the rhythms and the dance into the fight. And now you are tired. You are sore. You fight with lathes, and because of all the flowy dresses and things that you wear when you are around your mother, he doesn't worry too much about where Bruce's end up. And you've got a bunch of them. You were a bit overfond of the lunge, and when you lunge and overbalance, you tend to get a lathe across the butt. Just to remind you.
Stop the lunging. You have other things you can do.
When you've got the hit, then you take it. Until then, you dance, and you don't overcommit. He settled down and he sent you up, and you collapsed into your bed completely exhausted, but happy. Better than studying dancing? Better than any of the books that your sister would have had you read?
Ugh.
Better than the imports, exports, family lines that your mother would have had you study? And better than the no matter what you do, it'll never be good enough of your father. And for a second, you're just a swordswoman. Exhausted, beaten, told by her teacher over and over again, you got to get better or one of these is going to end up in your gut. And you close your eyes. And if you've ever been super tired and just laying down, you know how that you kind of drift in and out of sleep in that, and you're kind of in that point like, I really should change. I'm clearly going to sleep. I've missed dinner already.
This thing is going to suffocate me if I keep it on too much longer. Just... No.
Do you take the corset off?
That's a lot of work. It's a lot of strings. I could breathe tomorrow. It'll be fine.
And you're there, and you're kind of tossing, just trying to make yourself temporarily more comfortable in the moment. And, oh no, this is a scandal. Princess with a gentleman caller in her room. And the voice of Leon drifts out from a shadow in the corner, and you realize your window is slightly open.
Demort, I swear to the high holy heavens and whatever happens to be in them, if you say one more word, I'm going to stab you.
He stands up and walks over to the desk, grabs one of your thousands of study books, pulls out an ink and quill. Well, then this is going to take a very long time.
I'm not allowed to curse. I'm not allowed to curse. I'm not allowed to curse. What do you want?
He tosses it and sits back down.
Yeah.
You know, I went to that place right on the edge of town, the one your dad loves so much.
Don't talk about Madame, please. I don't want to know what you've seen him doing this time.
I avoid him. I always get a lecture if he sees me.
Aye.
They've got a new girl in there. Very pretty. Going to be very popular, I think.
Please, but all the prophets by the O'Bannon, Wear a sheath. Just do it.
Don't you think the world could use more of this, though?
When you're right and proper married, aye.
What's the fun of that?
I don't think there is much fun to be had with it. It's quite the business.
Plus, not a whole lot of marriage prospects. Montagnian who didn't know to leave.
I wonder why.
Well, the O'Bannon killing the people who would have taken me back didn't help.
You were taken on as my father's ward.
And I'm grateful, as you know.
Just
What are you
about
doing
as
here?
great.
Why are you laying down like this? I was going to come get you. We should go have some fun.
I can't be dressed like this and having fun. I was having
Which is
dance
why I'm
practice.
asking why you're dressed like
I was
this.
having dance practice. What are you expecting?
Do you need help with the corset?
That would be very improper.
Me being here is very improper. I am very improper. So
We don't talk about that. We don't talk about those parts. Turnabout. I'll change.
Did I mention the new girl looks a lot like you? I feel like I could put together a decent picture of what you would be like now.
Leon, you do not need to be picturing me in any sort of way.
You're a pretty girl is all I'm saying.
I understand that I'm a pretty girl. That's why my price is so high. Ye cannot afford it.
I really can't. Kind of offensive, actually, when you think about it.
You wonder why my dad did it. Maybe had Sarada not gone and been Sarada and Sarah hadn't started whelping.
How many kids does your sister have now?
I think she's at... No, counting the twins. 6, 7?
Huh.
Not sure if she's on the next one already.
Is that a druid thing? Like, does it make you more fertile, do you think?
I'm not asking her.
Why not?
I don't want to be knowing.
That stuff goes in bloodlines.
I don't need to be knowing. I don't need to be knowing. I don't even want to be thinking about it.
What
All right, you may turn back about.
Things you don't want to think about. What do you think about?
Dance lessons. You may turn back about. I've changed enough.
What did she change into?
She has changed into what is obviously very nice material, but her best attempt at a peasant blouse and like one of the flowing dresses, and made sure the skirts were all the way wrapped about her and over the shoulder. And
you were the absolute image of an Inishmore peasant girl. If you could find an Inishmore that wasn't half mud.
You're the one who stayed here. You could have caught 100 ships by this point. Not my fault you have a thing for redheads.
But then my friend Massaro would just be so lonely.
Better lonely than risking my... Come along, let's go.
What?
My virtue, if anyone were to find you, that bridal price would be halved at least.
All right. He clambers out and starts taking the vines down that you two have climbed in and out of just so many times.
This is the reason why she knows how to go on rooftops.
He starts walking alongside you as you're kind of headed towards town. So you're not going to want to hit your Da's brothel, obviously.
No brothels at all, please.
That's where the best food is, though.
I understand that.
Never get it. So, have you heard anything from Killian lately?
You ask me this every single time and the same answer as when I was 16. No.
We should get you a place closer to the port. I'll bet you became a pirate and he's waiting for you to just be in the perfect place so he can come in on the boat, standing at the mast, all dashing.
I think that's
And then
just
you'd be
your own
forgetting your
dreams.
propriety like that.
We're not talking about that.
I'll add it to the list.
I asked you to add it to the list like 3 months ago.
Did you?
And the month before that. And the year before that. You're lucky. I enjoy the things you teach me. Get to stepping.
And I could teach you so much more.
No.
Fine.
Fine.
Me kind of walking around. Hey, you've got a bit of dirt there on your arm.
I think that's a bruise.
Ouch. That's going to be a good one.
I'm gonna have to continue wearing the long sleeves for a while.
Do you like the dance lessons?
More than you like your brothels.
Well, no accounting for taste, I suppose. But then again, here you are, hanging out with me.
All right, to have you know your very fine taste. If you actually brought yourself up to standard, you could find a good wife.
Yeah, but what would... A good wife would be boring, right?
Not necessarily. Look at how many my sister is whelping. She's obviously busy.
Yeah, but that's like busy at once every 9 months.
I don't know. Certainly never stopped Mada.
Fair enough.
Though if you were my own, you'd be missing your bollocks if you tried pulling that on me. Don't be thinking it.
You brought it up.
Making my point. That's all I'm doing.
Usually you make your points with points, so I suppose I should be grateful.
Hi.
Also, not too far from the new place that you don't want to hear about, horse stable just got put in, and one of the stable boys.
Here I thought you were about to talk about riding. No, you're riding something else.
I haven't ridden him
Yet.
but he's... I don't know. He might actually be more your type.
I don't have a type. My type is the one that signs the contract with Mada. I don't get much of a choice.
The fact that he who must not be named exists means that you do, in fact, have a type. You can pretend you don't all you want, but Princess, your friend, Leon de Mart, knows.
Of course you know. You stick your nose into everything, you little shite.
I do, and everyone tends to enjoy it.
I don't need... Demort, I will pull out the sword right now and shove it up your arse. We're here to be having fun, not to be hearing about... No. Can we go to the stables?
Fine. They also have nice horses.
That's what I was hoping for.
So he walks up with you, and the stable owner, no clue who you are, but recognizes him, and comes out, and Leon has a fair amount of money to his name. His family did very well while they were here, and under your family's protection, he didn't have to give a whole lot of that up. And so he's able to make arrangements, and there are some fairly nice horses here, and fast, generally good riders, and He's like, suppose you want the biggest one they have as per usual?
Biggest and wildest.
The bay. I'll take this girl. She seems sweet. And he hops up onto a mare, and the or like kind of, I guess the noble lad knows what he wants and hands over the reins to you, and you both get on up and start taking a long ride out through the Innish countryside.
Right. First
You know,
one
it could
around
be
the
a whole
bend.
lot more of this.
How's that?
Plenty of Innish nobility go for regular rides. They get seen by the people, get to weigh in on the various estates that you have. Sareda, at least you could give her good reports on how much she might actually expect to come in from them. You know, how mad she gets when they don't meet their projections or whatever.
If I was to ever be out of my lessons, you know that this is where I would be.
You need to get out of here. You're starting to believe.
What am I going to do?
One of these days, I'm going to look at you, and I'm going to tell you that we should go and get up to something. And you're going to look at me and tell me what your ma tells you, or what your da tells you, or what your sisters tell you. And for the first time, you're going to believe it.
What can I do, Leon? This
You
is
can
my
go.
life.
You
Go
can
where?
go anywhere. That port has so many ships in it, and you know where they go? Absolutely fucking everywhere. And you're rolling in cash. You could buy any one of them and just tell the captain, this is my ship now. This is where I want to go. And they'll just say, as you wish, ma'am. You're still you.
And what happens when my da hears?
It will not be the first time your dog gets disappointed. You're all he has. Don't you get that?
I'm all he has. I'm all this family has. I'm the last one who can be doing this.
You know what that means? That it's going to need to be you regardless of what fun you have beforehand. And besides,
Not how it works.
it can be. You're a princess. An
I'm
Innish
a princess of the blood, in name only. My family doesn't have the same standing anymore.
Who knows how long that drunken asshole is going to still be bothered with his throne. He's going to get bored. He always does.
And when that
And in
happens,
the meantime, look at you. You're not nearly... You talk about your value. You do things with that sword that I see duelists walking these streets can't do. So use it. Let people see it. Wouldn't that increase your value?
No.
I think you're wrong.
Leon, my value is in my hand. My value is in the fact that I can be stepping to the throne if needed. That is where I am needed at this point. What is to be happening if I leave? Who then takes the place under my father's eye? He'll be turning to Serida. You know she cannot be handling.
Besides, how much of your family riches gone up since she took over? He's not going to move her out of that. They need the money more now than ever.
No, but she'll be the one bearing his disappointment. I can handle it.
Barely be aware of it.
Until she is. And then she cracks. Or he starts plucking at Sarah's children. You know he will.
She'll be able to take care of them. The druids are not without power.
But the druids cannot entirely stop him either.
And so what? We'll just wait until you break? Carry absolutely everything?
It's what I was raised to do.
No, it's not. Bayarda, maybe. But you've read every single story of your bloodline that I have.
Aye.
You were raised for something else.
They're just stories, Leon.
Ah, princess. They're never just stories.
Just because you get to be the dashing swashbuckler that you are. Just because you have no responsibilities here. You get to live and enjoy your life. That doesn't mean all of us do.
I know. But you get to choose what your responsibilities are. I've chose nothing because there's nothing for me here. Now, if I ever went back to wherever that farm in Montaigne is, yeah, then maybe suddenly I would have responsibility. And I choose not to do that because I'd rather have more fun with my friend. But you know what? One of these days, I'm going to climb your wall. And you're not going to be there. Because you will have decided, fuck it all. I'm not letting this be my whole life. And that will be the happiest day I've had in years. Knowing that you're out there, causing trouble.
You fucking sentimental fool.
Yeah, that's me.
I'm well aware.
And maybe, who knows, I'll head back to the family farm, maybe bring a redhead with me when I go.
Please don't be bringing a redhead. I'd wonder if you were thinking of me the entire time. No.
And he sets in the spurs and just gallops off.
And off Masar goes, if not catching him, probably outtaking him. Nah.
And see. We are in the city of San Juan. And it is a beautiful day. The sun is shining in the sky, and the city always has this sparkle to it, this sense of life. There's music playing, there are children dancing in the streets, and there is someone who does not belong. Walking down the middle of the streets as if she owns them is a red-headed princess. But no Castilian princess. All the royalty of Castile is currently being held on Vaticine Island. No, she is from Inishmore and walks with that Inish swagger, that inviting someone else to cause a problem. Meanwhile, on a nearby rooftop, someone else stands. Even in the heat of the Castilian day, they wear a cloak and a hood, and under the hood can be seen the mask of Los Vagabundos. Not the mask, not the one worn by El Vagabundo himself, but the mask that is the sign of the people who serve in that organization. Cass, what has you masked on this day?
I am just doing some light reconnaissance work on the Inquisitor patrols because they haven't really trusted me on anything big yet.
Okay.
And I just realized I'm not doing my accent.
So you're just staring, you're looking down and marking where the various patrols are all going and seeing as they move around. And when you do that, you get a kind of tunnel vision. You're making sure that they can't see you, but in general, otherwise, you're just paying attention, looking around. And so, Mez, walking down the street, you look up, and being royalty of a sort, you have been taught to keep an eye out for random masked individuals on rooftops. And there one is. And you have heard of the Vagabundos. They're the Inquisition isn't too much of a problem in Inishmore, and so there is not a huge Vagos presence in Inishmore, but you've certainly heard their legend, and you think, I wonder how good they really are.
Mez pauses and then leans down to pick up a pebble off the street for think.
Throwing it at her or near?
At.
Okay.
We'll see how good she is.
Okay. Cass, you're kind of checking things out. Now, when you are in this attire, you have this sort of eyes in the back of your head style thing, but you are pretty focused on your mission right now. Do you think you would see this pebble coming?
I don't, because I'm usually pretty relaxed on the rooftops because it's my preferred place and no one ever looks up. I just see this redhead just staring at me, and I just staring back like, what the hell?
And you watch as she gestures and points to a duelist pin.
Oh no.
And Masara, being kind, will, walk down to a darker alley.
And Cass, unfortunately, knows how things work, in Castile especially. She's going to walk very begrudgingly across the rooftop and lower herself to the ground and just go down the alley.
I hear you lots are pretty good at things.
See, some of us are very good at that, yes.
Up for a challenge.
Is it an official challenge?
No, I can take the pin off.
And she'll go into her cloak, push it back a little bit, and just reveal the rapier she has on her side. And just pull it out. I'm bored.
Masara reaches into the pocket of her skirts and out comes her own rapier.
Is that how you... All right.
So you stand there, both of you, one sword out. Did Cass also pull a dagger in the manner of the... So, all right.
That's how I fight.
Cass has out one dagger and the rapier. Mizara only has the rapier. And the two of you kind of stand opposite each other for a moment. And the sounds of the city around you start to become muted. They're still there, but that sort of focus. In just a moment, there's almost a heartbeat to the moment. Just a boom, 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 boom. A bit of kind of cloth detritus blows across the alleyway between the two of you. No idea where that breeze came from. It just looked cool. Who moves first?
Masara will fall into her dance.
Describe it.
She takes a moment, taps her finger against the rapier, and then starts twirling slowly away, and then begins to weave around Cass.
So many people see this and get confused. However, in your time both with your father and you're working with the Vagabondos, Cass, you've gotten to see a number of the dueling schools in action. And
Aldana is very common here in Castile.
But there's something weird about it, almost an uncanny valley. The music taught at the schools tends to be fair because they're dueling schools, not music schools, and so the music is there, and Aldana students from the same school tend to know close to the same song. And so there's a rhythm to their movement that you just kind of expect. It's not here. You're not, and it's not like you've dueled a ton of Aldana students, but this is not a rhythm you recognize.
You're not from here.
Would have thought the hair gave me away. Or, the accent.
The accent. You're the challenge. You're the challenger. You go first.
So as she is circling around you, are you just like pivoting in place to keep eyes on her?
Yeah, I'm just kind
Just
of
letting her walk around? Like...
Yeah, I'm not letting her have my back, though.
Okay. Stepping around.
Pause as I scroll all the way down to the duelist things. Not that we're, doing the things, but we're doing the things. And Masara will start off with a quick jab just to kind of gauge reaction time.
Oh, yeah, that's right. The dueling things.
The dueling
Where are
things.
they? There they are. There they are. I found them.
They're down there.
Okay. I am going to parry.
All right. You've done enough stuff like this to know what's happening. You feel the jab come out at you, and you're able to knock it away. You feel the playful nature of it. That wasn't a legitimate attempt. This was okay, can she do the most obvious thing? This feels similar. There was a pattern you noticed. There were quite a few of the Vagos who kind of wrote you off as Mateo's girl. And would sort of they would start off, okay, are we really doing this or what? And so you've been tested like this before, and you're able to knock the blade away.
I would imagine Cass looks slightly annoyed because she is thinking of just being written off constantly like that, just like that. And she would 100% do a lunge.
And Masara takes the lunge to bash the pommel of her blade into Cass.
So you allow the hit in order to... Okay. Again, no dice. The lunge comes in, and Cass, you've had the chance to fight true duelists before, and you always expect to be outgunned. You know how good you are. You know you're not that good yet.
Still learning.
You get in, and you're like, "Oh wow, I did this!" Like you feel the resistance as your blade tears the fabric of the dress, and you're like, oh, I got it, bam. and you take the hit, and it's a hard hit.
Wait, did you hit the pommel of my blade?
I used the pommel of mine
to hit my head?
Bash into your head.
Oh, ow! How do you even reach that high? Looking as I look down on you.
You lunge the right direction.
And then I am going to get a little upset now. And I'm going to I'm going to feint, but make it look like I'm going to slash.
Okay, so she's coming back with all right. And Mez, you've seen that someone gets hit for the first time and does an overextended put the little girl down immediately type move. How does Mez react to that?
With a very wide grin and a riposte.
All right, so you set up to riposte, and you are just ready to turn that slash, and then there isn't a slash. And so you get in, and she's actually a little bit under your guard now. You were so prepared for the slash, and you were ready to make her look stupid with it, that you realize you've been fainted.
I want to kind of hook my foot behind her ankle and kind of just pull her out of her dance like that.
All right, Mez.
Mez will be like, oh, all right, lunge. It's her ending move always.
Mez gets pulled back, stumbles, and Cass is like, and then all of a sudden, Mez just comes forward, and you get your blade up in time, so you're not going to get skewered by it. But she's managed to get good leverage on you, and your rapier is just spinning down the alleyway, and you get pressed up against the wall with the blade of her rapier against your throat.
I still have my dagger, and I want to say it's pointing at her stomach.
You want a drink?
What?
And she will take the step back and completely fall and lift the skirt enough to sheathe her blade.
A drink?
You want a drink? Absolutely. You fucking deserved it.
I mean, I don't really drink too much.
You want a meal then?
I've been thinking, and Cass thinks to herself, she's been on that roof. She's been on that roof for. I'm slipping in and out. She's been on that roof for about a couple of hours, and actually, she's pretty hungry. So she thinks about it. You know what, I actually could eat.
All right. Let me go ahead. I'll get you something warm to eat. We'll have to, not wear the. I can turn around if you want a bit of privacy.
I mean, kind of defeats the purpose if I'm about to go eat with you.
Some people feel a little bit odd. It's all right.
Cass, it's probably okay. She's from Innish. She's probably not going to be here long.
Yeah,
it's not like she knows your family.
It's fine. It's fine. And she'll just take it off.
Masara O'Toole, at your service.
Cass.
Pleasure is all mine.
And the two of you are able to, both of you a little bit turned off. Like there was that good lunch
What the hell was it?
Nez, and so there's a little bit of
some bruises.
So that I like it. There's some bruises on the head, but you step out and you walk out in the street and looking around for a good place to eat. Mez, you're pretty new to town. There is not the nicest looking place, but it's there, and there's good food smells coming from it. It looks like a sailor bar called the Beso de Serena.
Here?
I mean, I don't usually come eat around here. I usually eat at home, but we can try it. Might be good.
Let's try.
Okay.
Nighttime in Castile. And Juniper, you are running for everything you have. You can feel blood trickling down from a number of wounds. Some self-inflicted, mostly not. You've got maybe one good port left in you. And you're not entirely sure, and if you take this too far, you'll get stuck in the in-between with no one to pull you out. And so you run. Behind you, you hear Castilian voices yelling about the Blood Witch. They don't wear Inquisition clothes. That doesn't mean they aren't in their pocket. Or maybe you're just common bandits. Plenty of people from Castile don't like people from Montaigne, though you're not sure how they could have clocked that you were from Montaigne. But they've definitely called you a Blood Witch. And so you run. And there's woods to your left, water on your right, and you're just running. The moon occasionally peeks out from behind clouds, but in general, it is very, very dark. What do you do?
Firstly, murder, shit. It seems like I have nowhere to go, right? How many people are chasing me?
Glancing over your shoulder, it's hard to tell in the dark. There's at least 12.
Shit. Screw it. And then he'll just stop, pivot, and just turn. And he'll pull out a dagger. He's like, all right, you motherfuckers. Bring it on. Come on. Huh?
It is one thing to chase someone that is running. It is another to attack someone who has turned around, pulled a weapon, and looks like they're ready to make a last stand. And so this group, one of them was waiting to kind of try to take you down from behind. Instead, they kind of fan out around you.
Who's the biggest person here?
There's one who looks kind of like he's not the leader of the group, but he seems to be kind of like the leader of the group's dumb big friend. Kind of gives that muscle of the group type vibe as he's kind of standing around, and whereas everyone else is like, okay, who's gonna do it first? He's just kind of looking down at his buddy like, should I do it? Should I not?
Juniper is gonna hold the dagger up to him and go, you know, I can cut every one of you as quick as lightning. No problem. Just because I look a little fucked up doesn't mean I can't do something fantastic, right? Maybe I could do some type of spell and put a curse on your fucking families. And he's just gonna throw the dagger at the big guy and just rush him and knee him in his fucking face.
All right. The dagger goes in and catches the guy in the shoulder, and he goes back like, and then you get up and you connect, and he gets just blasted back. It's clear he didn't see any of that coming. And just like that, he is smashed back into the ground, and the group kind of splays out. Again, trying to keep you encircled, but again, you just took the big guy out, and so they're all like, someone else is going to do something about this, right? But even as you do that, and you're kind of laughing as you have him down, you got your hand on your dagger again. For a second, it's like ink is swimming in front of your eyes, and your vision kind of tunnels for a second. You've had to do some cutting. Normally, you're not this messy with your cutting, and plus other people have been cutting on you too. And so just for a second, the loss of blood, and next thing you know, you're pushing yourself back up, and you realize you full on almost passed out before you kind of gather yourself again.
Oh, shit. Oh, that didn't feel good at all, huh?
Then all of a sudden, from the woods, you hear a shout. Leave him alone! Guys kind of look around. Who was that? And out of the shadow walks a man in a long cloak and a mask. And he pushes the hood back. And it's hard to tell in the shadows to make any details about him. But he steps forward, looking at all of them, and goes, "You're drunk, go home. And forget you saw anything." They're all kind of looking at you, looking at him. You do anything?
You know, I think the mysterious man over there in the corner, I think there's 4 of him. You should listen to all 4. And he's just gonna stumble.
As you start to stumble again, and again, you're still on the prone big guy. One of them sees you and is like, he's going down, and he goes to hit you with, like, he's swinging a sword at you. And you're trying to get your dagger up to parry it, but it's it's like you're moving in jelly and you can't quite do it. And then the blade is like here when another blade crosses in front and stops it. And you're not sure how the Vago got from over there to here, impairing the hit. It occurs to you that maybe you passed out for a second there.
Uh-oh.
But he is. And he makes a quick move, and the other sword goes flying and then makes 2 slashes, and a bloody V gets carved into the guy's chest as he stumbles back. And the Vago walks around and is like, "Can you stand, friend?"
As long as I have you helping me. Yes. And also, he just kicks the big guy again. Fuck you. Oh, shit.
I think it's time for you all to be going. And one of the guys raises his sword, steps forward, and says, "There's a bounty on the Vagos. You could feed our village for a year." And the Vago smiles, spins the dagger in his hand, sheathes it, and then pulls out a pistol.
Oh, shit.
You die first. Who wants to die first? Maybe I die last. But who dies first? The guys don't want to leave. None of them wants to disengage. None of them wants to look like a coward in front of the others. But one by one, they kind of put their weapons away and then dash off. And at that point, he gets down and makes his weapons goes away, and he picks you up, and he's like, "They'll be back, and probably with Inquisition help. How well can you move?"
Do I need to run?
As fast as we can. I have a place where we can hide out at least for the evening, but then we'll have to come up with a plan. But it'll give you a chance to, at least we can get this patched up.
Point in a direction, and I'll meet you there, buddy. Huh? And he just...
You almost run into the ocean. You are that, and he just gets a hold of you, like grabs you kind of under the arm, realizing he just touched a cut.
Yes.
Grabs you by the elbow, which currently seems to be healthy, and leads you. And you are in and out of consciousness. And when you come to, you're in, it looks almost like a treehouse. There's leaves woven in and out of the branches that create kind of the lean-to. You're laying basically on a homemade cot. And the Vago, the mask now raised, gently stirring something in a pot that's cooking. It smells all right. Nothing amazing.
You never heard of salt and black pepper?
Hard to get out here when you're on the run, unfortunately.
Oh, that is very... Out.
You come to again a bit later. There is a piece of bread and a bowl full of whatever it was he was cooking kind of next to you. And for the moment, you seem to be alone. Now, as a blood sorcerer, a blood witch, you can feel your wounds. You're not bleeding anymore. And you look down and you realize everything has been patched. And you can heal pretty quick when you are not actively bleeding. And you're starting to feel a little bit more yourself. And you are hungry.
Well, first off, and I'm assuming he has a big belly cut. And he's just gonna, that's a problem, and just gonna wave his hand over, and just the blood starts to cauterize a bit. And he's like, "Oh fuck, no, that's not gonna work." And he just kind of winces and he's like, "No,
it works, but it's not an instant fix."
It works on smaller cuts. Yeah,
it's knitting, but it's not healed.
Fuck. And then he'll just look over at the food, smell it, doesn't think it's poisoned. Fuck it.
And it's not awful. You realize it was a bit seasoned, probably if only to keep the meat from going bad. And there is some meat in it, wonder of wonders. And so you eat, and for someone from Montaigne, not the most elaborate meal ever. For someone who's been on the run for a while, not bad.
It's all right. I was stuck eating fish that I caught out of a well, so this is fine.
The door opens, and he steps in. Guess it's what's true what they say about portiers.
Oh, no. I don't really know what they say. Maybe you could enlighten me what they say.
Well, when you run your power on blood, you replace your blood pretty quickly.
Do you want to see a little trick? And he'll hold up one of his hand cuts that couldn't be covered, and he just goes, and the blood cauterizes the wound, and it like heals over.
Now that is a trick I could have used on several occasions. And he sits down across from you, and you can see he's eaten probably a while ago. The fire is burned down considerably, and your soup was mostly cold. And he just kind of sits down opposite you and goes, "What brings Portier to Castile?"
Every day that I've been here, for I don't know, some years, I've been wondering at my fucking self. I don't know. I don't really remember how I got there. I just remember, I have a bounty here. I have a bounty there. Maybe I should, I don't know, run. So that's what I've been doing.
Well, your friends reported you.
Of course. Yes.
However, the road has been searched a couple of times, and the Inquisitor, who found absolutely no sign of a blood witch or his rather large victim, is now thinking that maybe some of these yokels were wasting his time, which is never anything an Inquisitor takes well to. So they will be less likely to report anyone to the Inquisition, which is, quite how I prefer it.
My new friend, if you don't mind me asking, what the fuck exactly is the Inquisition?
I guess you don't have to deal with them much in Montaigne.
No, and I've been kind of on my own, and anybody that looks like the, policia, just fucking...
Well, we follow the Vaticine faith here. And the Inquisition are those who think that it needs to be followed in a very specific way. And anyone who doesn't follow it in that way, including anyone who uses sorceries, well, they are defying the will of the prophets and must be punished, at least according to the Inquisition. And in order to make that happen, they just, kill whoever they want to kill, silence those who need to be silenced, and kidnapped our king.
No, I know that you're from here, so no disrespect, but that sounds fucking stupid.
We agree. That's why we fight them.
We, as in...
He pulls out the mask. I'm surprised you haven't run into us in Montaigne, but if you've been running for a long time, the Vagabondos, we work to see to it that power in Thea remains in the hands of those who can be trusted to use it.
Right.
The good nobles, the ones that will work for the people to support the system.
So you're thieves?
When necessary. We tend to take that which was taken from someone else first and try to get it back to where it belongs. But we also are those who do what we have to do when we have to do it. But
Okay.
we try to help where we can.
Right, so now that I know that you're also a fellow thief, he pulls out the jewel dagger. He sits it down. And that's why I was being chased.
He looks at it and picks it up. Nice.
You didn't realize that the big guy was a bit smarter than he looked. So that happened, and they chased me for half a mile. And they got me a couple times, as you can see.
Still, you should know that since the Inquisition has been alerted, even though they think it was a hoax, they're still going to be talking. And I have supplies here for a while, but there's a place I really need to be very quickly.
Okay.
I had hoped that I would be able to visit. Anyway, I'm out of time.
Oh, okay.
We are not far from the city of San Juan. And there is someone there who could help you. If you make your way and just try to be sure no one sees you, you should be fine. If you see guards, just walk like you belong. And when you get right to the northern edge of the city, just outside of where the first merchant bazaar meets, you'll find an old log. It is usually full of water and rainwater that gathers in it. If you reach in, the water can be sort of murky, and I'm sorry about that. In the bottom, there's a small box that you can pull out that is sealed against the wet. And he pulls out a letter. There's someone who will check that box. When they come, they will read the letter, and then they will find you at the bazaar. Stay near the spice stand around sunset.
All right.
She will be able to get you to a place where you can have some shelter and some time to hide until the excitement is over, I suppose. And I was going to send you with a message, but that's already in here. It should be enough, I think.
My question is, why are you helping me since you know I'm a blood witch, which, by the way, is really fucking rude to say.
What do you prefer?
Juniper. And he holds out a hand.
And he shakes it. Mateo.
Mateo, okay. Thank you. I appreciate that you're doing this. But, why?
The Inquisition hunts you.
Hmm.
What the Inquisition wants, I deny. And you needed help. And if we forget that we're there to help people, that's how we become them.
You know, you can keep this dagger. That's yours.
I won't say we can't use all the money we can get our hands on. I hope you don't mind that I'm going to sell it.
You know, give me a second. And then he'll go over and he'll wipe the blood mark off. Now you can sell it.
All right. Thank you.
Yes.
It is appreciated. All right.
He thought he was smart.
I am going to head out first. Give me a half hour. I would go with you myself, but if you were caught with me, you'd be in far more trouble than you would have been, even as someone of your talents.
There you go.
So,
yes.
And he stands up and he's like, if she... Never mind. Travel safe. And he heads out.
To himself, I kind of like the name Blood Witch, you know? Juniper the Blood Witch. Gagnon, yeah.
So does Juniper follow his instructions?
He does, yeah.
All right. Cass. You've been checking your dead drops for a while, and you are very used to there being nothing in them. That's kind of the point.
Routine as always.
You You head out, and you go to the stump outside of the city. And it's full of that water again. Seems like every time it dries up, there's more rain. It helps. It hides the dead drop, but it makes it gross. And you reach in, you lift out the box, and there's an envelope in it with handwriting you recognize.
She's gonna grab it and just tear it open. It's been a while.
You can read it.
Dearest Cass, I found this individual on the road about to be jumped by some friends of your father. I cannot keep him with me where I am going, but he knows how to use his fists and might be of use. Keep him safe for me, my love. M.
That's cute as fuck.
Along with the message, there's instructions on where to find, since you obviously couldn't have him just standing right by the dead drop.
She kind of wipes at her eye a little bit, takes a deep breath, and just folds the letter up, puts it in her pocket, and heads on over to where she's supposed to find this guy.
Heading over, the spice merchant is one of your... He's even looser in the organization than you are, but is just someone who knows not to pay attention to weird people congregating near his shop. You see someone kind of looking like they don't belong, like they're a little bit nervous, and like he's expecting someone, but he's not sure what. And as you approach him, Juniper, you're not sure what you expected? It wasn't this.
June will turn to the spice guy and he's like, you know, the story I just told you about 5 minutes ago about a small or person that is a hero, super strong. You know, I didn't literally mean that. Hello, nice to meet you. I'm assuming you're the one I'm supposed to.
And she'll just hold a finger up. She puts some coin on the spice merchant's stall for his trouble, and she'll just nod her head for him to follow. It's going to be a walk and talk sort of deal. Walking and talking through back alleys too.
Okay.
All right.
So, who are you?
My name is Juniper.
Nice to meet you. My name is Cass. And he sent you?
If you're referring to a very handsome, tall man, yes.
Brown eyes?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's him.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I'm guessing you got into some trouble? Do I want to know?
No, you don't.
Then I won't ask.
I feel like that's a need-to-know basis. But I'm about to be very nosy here. Are you like his wife, girlfriend, daughter?
One, I would be very scandalized if he was able to have me as a daughter because we're pretty much close to the same age.
That is, yeah, okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And two,
No.
also need to know basis.
I'm like you already. All right. So, where are we going?
If you need to know a little bit, he trained me.
So
if that makes you feel a little bit better.
Well, yeah, that makes me feel like I don't have to handle the fight completely. So, yes.
What fight? We will not be fighting at all if we have it our way.
He just looks you up and down. I know I just met you, but never mind.
She's going to pull the side of her cloak, and you just see daggers.
Get your daggers here.
Maybe not be so judgmental about women, even if they're
Well-
small. Especially if they're small.
It was more of that I feel like you're going to get me into a lot of trouble, and you just answered my question. So,
I stay out of trouble as much as I can, but
Mm.
speaking of small people, I can't take you with me to where I go. I can take you to a good place. It's comfortable, it has good food, and you'd have some company.
okay, I'm being handed off.
I would check in on you daily.
Oh,
So I'd still,
okay.
but I am taking you somewhere safe and comfortable.
Thank
And
you.
you could just relax for a little bit and enjoy the company of a very small Innish woman who likes to buy people things.
Imish.
Innish.
Inish.
Innish woman. As in a woman from Inishmore.
I will act like I know what that is and where that
It's a
is.
country.
Cool. I understand that. I just don't.
You'll understand when we get there.
Cool.
She's very friendly.
Oh, no. Okay.
Very quick to make friends. Very quick to make friends. And very generous.
Why does that sound a bit terrifying?
The owner of the inn we're going, he shakes every time she pulls out her money bag now.
Poor guy.
Poor
God.
Most tortured NPC ever.
Generosity.
Tortured with generosity.
Chaos gifting.
As you both walk up, Juniper, you see that you're approaching a no longer quite as seedy as when we mentioned it in the last scene, but still looking kind of like a sailor's dive.
It looked worse a couple of weeks ago.
Serena.
Looked worse a couple of weeks ago, but dinero.
As you open the door, there is a shout from the inside. A whole bunch of, "Hey, we've all been drinking, and someone else just joined. We don't know who they are, but I bet they're fun. Yay!"
Hey!
Here rises up and sing.
How dare you, Dan?
Christoph, you have been on the road for some time. You're still in Eisen, but you know that you're leaving. Memories of battles that you've fought. It seems like there's nowhere in the nation you can go where you can't at some point remember either traveling very quickly through it as you're trying to get to a place where you were needed, or fighting to defend it. Nothing as convenient as fronts. For most of your time fighting in the war, the country was just chaos with random collections of power getting together and fighting off either some army that was marching through or the monsters. You're moving on your own. You've learned that's actually a fairly safe way to do it, so long as you're not unlucky, less likely to draw attention. And a guy like you with a sword like yours, even if you draw some attention, a lot of it will then decide to find something else entirely. And as you are walking, you hear the sound of riders coming through the woods.
Along the road in the woods?
This bit of the road this part of the woods you are in it has many paths more so than roads. You've been avoiding the roads because the Inquisition tends to take those.
Yeah. Gonna do my best to find some cover and see if I can get eyes on who's coming through here.
You pull off to the side, and it's a war party, and you they move through the woods in a configuration that speaks of they're used to not being able to ride in a solid formation, and so they ride in a looser one that can tighten at a moment's notice if need be, and one that's also very used to, it's all about flexibility of movement and speed, and then when it forms, being a solid rock that is impossible to penetrate, which has been the only way any Eisner forces have survived for years now, ever since the primary Eisner fronts collapsed when the dead started rising en masse. And you're looking at this group, just because they're Eisner definitely does not mean that they are friendly. And as they are sort of arranging, there is a yell. We've lost him again. Get the trackers. And it's a familiar voice, a female voice, though there's a little bit, the weather's been cold, and it seems like whoever she is, she's been shouting a whole lot of orders lately. She has that commander who's been in charge and active for a while. And you're not quite sure how you recognize it, but you recognize it.
When you're shouting orders, going after someone, there's always just a little bit of a tinge of why you're going after somebody. You can call out the same command, but when you're trying to track somebody down to hurt them or do something else less nefarious, there's always a tone to it. Do I pick up which tone it is?
You do not hear violence in the command. Whoever she's looking for, she wants to find them.
I am going to risk it and try to just get a better look. Not come out in the open, but just see if I can get a better look. You
kind of allow yourself to lean in a manner, you do it almost without thinking now, sort of mimicking the shadow of the woods as light comes in and out. And you see a woman on horse ride out to the front. She is a very well-built, pretty in her way, with thick braided hair coming out behind her head from under the partial helmet that she is wearing. And even through the helmet, once you have eyes on her, there is no doubting this is where Hildekora Helmut, your niece.
Where Hilda? What are you doing all the way out here? Or I guess all the way back here?
She pulls up and she looks at you and sees you. And she reaches back and gives the sign, and her men just stop. And they immediately go and spread out. They're no longer interested in you at all. You can see that they are fanning out, simultaneously giving you privacy and creating a perimeter to make sure that if they are leaving you alone, that they're not leaving you alone with anything else. And you, in all of your time serving under many commanders, know your adherence to discipline was never nearly as good as the people following her orders are. And she just stares at you for a while, pulls out her own sword, almost as big as yours, stabs it down into the ground beside her horse, hops down, tosses the reins over a nearby branch just so he doesn't wander away. And she kind of steps up looking at you. Your mother's favorite flower.
Heather.
And she comes forward and gives you a hug.
Return it, but a little bit more brusque than usual. You expecting me to be somebody else? But
There've
looking
been
like me?
mimics. Ones that pull from memory. A new wrinkle.
That's a new one to look out for. I thought you were out of country doing work.
Theoretically, I am. But in and out of country doesn't mean as much these days.
True enough that.
But my employer thinks I'm about 50 kilometers that way. And she tosses her head roughly to the north.
That's nothing more than a day's ride with how well your troops are trained, it looks like. You're practically there already.
Not too late.
Okay.
And
Well
he's...
trained.
I've learned how to get them to follow instruction when it has to happen. I heard you were leaving.
Well, yeah.
You didn't do anything wrong. You saved those villagers' lives.
You think the Inquisition cares much about right and wrong? Do you think
say
the
they do.
Insurrectionists did anything wrong? Do you think Freiburg, who eschewed the prophets, have done anything wrong? All the same people are ending up on spikes. And my problems are getting a little bit more personal than just having to duck the Inquisition.
What happened?
They paid a visit to family.
Did they... Is everyone...
No one's hurt. Everyone's fine. But, well, scared the hell out of your brother's daughter. And pretty sure they were seen snooping around some other places. I've been ducking the Inquisition long enough. Anyone who does what I do has been. They haven't been able to catch me, but evidently they caught enough about who I am, that they caught enough about who my family is.
What about the one you helped? Could you contact him?
That fool bastard is probably dead or rotting in a cell. I don't know which one would be the greater mercy. Every now and then one of those inquisitors sees what we do and thinks that it's the prophet's work. They go back to the Inquisition to tell them that they found the prophet's truth on how to fight the horror in Eisen. And then they get labeled a heretic themselves for using sorceries outside the church. If I ever see that one again, the only thing he should be doing is giving me a clean one to the jaw for not trying to talk more sense into him and letting him leave. I was a little bit younger of a soldier then, though, and lives didn't mean as much back then. The only way, if I were trying to sneak out of Eisen, you know I'd be gone already, or at the very least no one would know I was gone. I had to announce my departure so they know I'm going, so they don't go after the family. Because the last thing we need is the Inquisition starting trouble and coming in. Now, the family that's in Freiburg, I have a feeling that Nicolas Trage is unlikely to take kindly to the Inquisition coming in. But you know we got more family than just that, and all it takes for them is to find out that even though I haven't spoken to my brother since the war, that I got more family over in Seeger that they can try to exploit. And they would be more than happy to have the Inquisition there.
Which way are you going to go?
Oh, I'm thinking west. Thinking about heading over towards Castile.
That's quite the choice if hiding from the Inquisition is but you're not hiding.
I'm not planning to turn myself in if that's what you're worried about. Learned a long time ago that the heroic sacrifice never does anything right. But you heard the story about that Castilian merchant ship that saved our asses on the river?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've on and off spoken with the family, and from what I hear, the young woman that helped pull me up on the deck has become quite a captain herself.
Well, that's
I
handy.
suppose it's been long enough that none of us, she's not a young woman anymore either, but there's a captain that's got a bit of courage and understands discretion, so at the very least they can get me somewhere far enough away that the Inquisition can't handle. I don't know. I've always wanted to see Cathay. I've heard interesting things about it.
Well, here. And she looks around and takes you over to her horse. She hands you some supplies, rations, that sort of thing. Pretty ready to go. She pulls out her maps. Least I can do is make sure you're not stumbling into who you're trying to avoid. If you head towards Tarago, the Objectionists have won some pretty big fights there recently. The Vatacine forces are falling back. Be pretty easy for you to be seen there. You could be pretty public about which direction you're going. And they wouldn't be able to just grab you, but then you've put a pin in the map further from family.
That sounds like a good route to take. You're well informed these days. I'd like to say I think I taught you well, but let's be honest. A lot of that came from your mother.
Well, she would rather I used a hand and a half. She pats her sword.
Your mother has no appreciation for some of the finer things. No, just the one that's just been resting on my shoulder the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Don't tell her I said that. She will come west, find me, and beat it out of me.
I also... She kind of gets a grin on her face and tilts her coat a bit to the side, and you can see a pin of one of the dueling schools, and you realize that one of her hands is gloved, her offhand, and the glove has plates of steel worked into it.
When did you find time?
One of the
I don't
nobles
question your ability to make it through a duelist school, but
one of the nobles wanted a duelist, and the school didn't have anyone available. So he paid for me to take the classes. It was some of the easiest work I've had. In the meantime, I got to work this merry band into an actual proper team. An Eisen group that I'd had actual training time with actual weapons masters.
I always knew you were going to be better than me, but that's... You just said, hey, look at this, and let's just go ahead and shame your uncle into an early grave. So, mission accomplished on my part, I guess.
She smiles. Do you have any idea? Is there any way I could contact you? Anywhere you think I could send a letter?
Oh, hadn't really thought that far ahead.
Okay.
if I'm remembering correctly, I'll probably have to head to San. All those Castilian cities are San something.
A lot of saints those prophets have.
Yeah. Yeah, they could use a few less. San Juan, I think. I don't.
Alright.
You know what? I'll get a letter back to you once I get somewhere that's looking like it might be a little stable.
Freiburg will be as good a place as any. We get called back there often enough.
Give or not. I'll let you know that I've made it alive somewhere. And in the meantime, maybe just tell the whole family to be incredibly angry and resentful at me so they seem like less good leverage in case something happens.
It'll be tough with the kids. They all love you. But I think your siblings will be able to put on the show well enough.
That I don't doubt. Yeah, I'd worry more about the grandnieces and nephews and whatnot, but they got you. They'll be fine.
She smiles and walks over and is like, the one who paid for this. And she starts like working her horse. He tried to ask me out for a nice dinner the other night.
How nice a dinner are we talking?
Candlelit with Castilian wine.
So nice, but not really up to par.
I would have preferred mead from up north. But
Wine's a bit more your brother's sort of thing, but I'm not saying that you need to commit to anything, but a warm meal for free is a warm meal.
Oh, I took the meal. I was glad to get the assignment and head out, though. He keeps using all these really pretty words.
Well, then we should definitely hook him up with your brother instead.
Yeah.
Do I need to stop by your employers on the way out of town?
Oh, I can handle him. It's no big.
I know you can. I raised you to be able to. Doesn't mean I don't want to.
You have a place you are going, and you're doing it to keep everyone safe, remember? You need to pick one bad idea.
You do sound like your mother. Which is probably a good thing, but all right, one idea at a time. I'll start with Castile. And if anybody asks, well, I guess just tell them I went to Castile, because frankly, I'm not really going to be that subtle, I guess, whether I try to or not.
Okay. She starts to whistle, and you've done the whistle like such and such a bird thing. Everyone does it. It's almost pointless in Eisen. There's only so many birds, and most of them have taken off. There's monsters and stuff everywhere, but damned if it isn't just perfect. And her troop starts just circling back in again as she... and the moment they are in view, the helmet is back on, the braid's back behind her, she's up on the horse, and just everything professional and a commander. And she gets up and is like, travel quick, travel hard. And if you see someone you recognize, ask questions first.
Duly noted, Sergeant.
For now. And she turns her horse, and the whole group takes off into the woods, heading north.
Now I gotta watch out for people with faces I know. God damn it. Just grumbling as I start marching off west.
And scene. The sea air blows through the city of Carleon, the capital of Avalon. As capital cities go, it's not bad, but it's also not the best. It is a port city. It is largely supported with fisheries, a very large population that uses the river for unthinkable things, and the smell has started overpowering even as mighty a river as that one, its ability to clear out into the ocean bay, a city that has been perhaps industrialized a little bit faster than its infrastructure was up for. And so, as a particular Eisener is walking the streets, he's staying more or less close to the docks. It's been a little bit for you here in Avalon and Carleon. Thought, hey, maybe we'll see what it's like. And now you know. And you're ready to go somewhere else.
Well, don't know what the big deal about Avalon is. It's pretentious. I'm kind of understanding the Inish a little bit more now.
As you are walking around, how does Kristoff go about selecting what ship he might Avalon when he's looking to sail out of a port? What's he looking for?
Skill and discretion, but also mixed with that wonderful little bit of honesty.
You're looking around, and there's a lot of Avalonian ships, and in general, you've learned they might be perfectly honest with other Avalonians.
No Avalonian ships.
With Eiseners, you always feel like they're conning you, and so you're looking around, and then you see one that, for the moment anyway, is flying Castilian colors, which is different. Castile lost a good deal of its fleet in the aftermath of the war, mainly from the fleet being paid for with against treasure that they were definitely going to win in the fighting and then didn't end up winning, and so a lot of that fleet ended up going pirate. So something actually flying Castilian colors is a bit different and might be trying to be exceptionally on the up and up in Carleon. And it's named the Lady's Laughter. Seems clean and efficiently well run enough.
What kind of ship?
A galleon, a trade galleon.
Okay. Well, at this point, Kristoff has taken to talking to himself a lot since he has been on the road a lot and not used to not talking to people. Mm-hmm. There's a lot more external monologue these days. But, well, no Avalon colors. What's the worst that could happen? Other than the Inquisition. I'll head over that way.
All right. As you walk over, mercantile ships occasionally will take on passengers, a little extra money from fares as they're traveling along. You also know that when they are not military ships, as this one does not seem to be, they're often willing to, if you are willing to show that you can use the sword and would help protect them if they ever got boarded, willing to kind of put that against your fare, and maybe sometimes even you earn a little bit of coin beside. Typically, they've got ramps set in place as people are coming on, and sitting at the foot of a ramp, looking a little bit irritated at having received Hawken any potential passengers duty. Is a black-haired woman, potentially Castilian, as far as you can tell, though from the dress, there's more than a little bit of the feel of the pirate about her.
Miss,
That
you
meaning the fraternity of the sea more so than criminal.
Miss, you work on this ship?
She'll be from the knife that she's sharpening as she's sitting there waiting and look up. We are taking on some passengers as we head back towards Castile. A few other stops along the way.
So you're leaving Avalon is really kind of what I'm looking for.
We are.
What's the cost for fare?
Depends. It's a big sword you have there. I'm sure that you could probably use it from the look of you. And she'll kind of walk around him a little bit, not touch him, but just kind of
doing the kind of staying in place but pivoting the head to look as she's moving. Definitely had my fair share of use with it.
It's been a long time since I've seen a Zweihander like that one.
Yeah.
It's very
Been to
interesting.
Ison, have you?
Not in a good decade and a half. It's been, at least. When I was on my father's ship, we stopped. Got to help some refugees once. There were some good stories on the ship those days. Where are my manners? I am Reina Gustavo, top master for the Ladies' Laughter, and apparently the one who drew the short end of the straw today.
Gustavo.
Aye.
Any relation to Thomas Gustavo?
Yes. That be my father.
And in that moment, Christoph, you remember the little girl that actually helped you top the ladder when you were fleeing that village.
You got a lot taller.
I mean, one does that as they get older. And she'll straighten up and pull the sword from her side. Gotten a lot feistier, too.
Just to make sure this old man's not confusing things too much, you helped pull an Isoner off of the shore 10, 20 years ago when you were
12. It's been that many years, Christoph. Do you think I'm going to be forgetting all the stories you told?
I don't even remember all of them, so
We should get a pint at some point and catch up on those stories.
I guess you'd need to be off of passenger duty then. What are you doing on this ship? You decide to go your own way? Immediately knowing that look. Seen that look plenty of times. And that just hand on the shoulder. Maybe I see what it would take for your captain to relieve you of duty for a little while.
I'm pretty sure that if I let him know that we have another sword hand, he'll probably give me some leave.
Seems like we got some catching up to do, the kind that's best done with maybe a little bit of something to take the sting out then.
Aye.
Yeah.
That it is.
Captain,
Captain, I got one.
Gonna use that massive thing of his?
mostly for look, keep the pickpockets away.
Don't let his words fool you, Captain. I've seen it in action before.
Have you? Well, that's a good recommendation. Captain comes down the gangplank and looks at you. Frankly, I've gotten tired of hiring sword masters who are just kids who figure nothing ever attacks you at sea. We're going to be hitting a couple of Montagnan ports, and then we're heading to the city of San Juan in Castile. We've been sailing out of there for some time now. You go with us the whole way. We'll cover your berth, your food. Call it 5-10 silver at the end of the trip. More if we need to put that sword to use.
Sounds more than fair to me. I got the only place I got to be is not in Avalon anymore.
If they weren't the best place to sell the silks we have right now. Anyway.
The silks are nice, don't get me wrong. I can appreciate the cloth. It's just the Avalonians I could do without.
You're not the only one. And he reaches out. Welcome aboard the Lady's Laughter.
Reach out, shake his hand. Christoph Helmut. Happy to join your crew, I guess.
Donovan, captain of the Lady's Laughter. Good to have you aboard. An old friend, Smoke.
You could say that, Captain.
I imagine you'll want some catch-up time before the work starts.
If you don't mind, I don't believe we're going to be getting too many others.
This
Not in this port.
fine young lady was a little bit too young for me to buy her a drink in exchange for saving my life. Seems like now maybe I can finally pay back that favor.
Works for me. Casterly, come down, mind the ramp in case anyone else hires, but no more cider salesmen, please. And he walks on up.
Thank you, Captain.
Leave is granted.
Yes. Well, do you know of a good place for a drink? Or shall we just go explore?
Well, in my experience, the best place to get a good drink is to not get a good drink. You find the dive bar on the docks.
Oh, well, then that's going to be down here.
Yeah, I've had enough of exploring Avalon. I say let's go to the place where people like us are a bit more at home.
That would be the Dragon's Scale.
That sounds a mite bit better than all of the other fanciful names of the places I've been seeing around town.
The Avalonians do like their mythical creatures.
Oh, they do, but I'm sick and tired of... You got the name of a fancy creature, and then you got the name of some sort of precious metal or jewel or somebody who was a saint or a knight, and I respect him in a fight, but I'm damn sick of him in a city.
Go walking on down there.
And as you both walk and you're chatting and just kind of looking at each other, trying to put sense together, Smoke, Christoph looking much older than you remember, of the almost impossibly powerful seeming Eisner who you helped board the ship that day, and Christoph doing the usual, wait a minute, what do you mean you're adult now? Who said that would ever be allowed? Thing. And as you step through the door of the Dragon's Scale, suddenly you are not stepping into a dive bar on the docks in Carleon, but into the surprisingly nice, though once just as dive bar as anywhere else, Beso de Serena. All the young ones are running around doing their thing. It's been an interesting few weeks for you all. And while they're doing whatever it is that those kids get up to when they're on their own, Eduardo waving you both in and sending over a waitress with whatever your regular is, you're able to take seats by the fire.
Thank you, Eduardo. I know that you leave these here every now and then for us.
You have to put up with them all the time. I can't believe you don't need more.
Are they getting younger or am I getting older?
Both. I swear. At least we're trying to keep them out of your hair, Eduardo.
Well, I still have any left.
Christoph, do you have a tincture for that?
Yeah, there's a lot of things that we can treat with medicine, but if I ever figure out that one, I will retire a wealthy man.
You could probably buy your own island, start your own
Montanian vanity alone would keep me and my ancestors wealthy and comfortable for generations.
That to be very true. All right, what is the story of the day, Christoph?
Is it my turn?
It's your turn. At least your turn to start.
Oh, hell. Does that have to be a real story, or can we just start making up happy ones for once?
You know, if that is what you need for this afternoon, go for it. I've got...
I'm just thinking there's only so many different ways that I can tell ghouls tried to eat a village.
I mean, that's not your only story.
It is a good number of them. Well, I mean, if we want to go before the war, there was the time we went dragon hunting.
How did I not get this one?
You know what I said about most military stories? About 99% of them are just something ridiculous and dumb, and then 1% of them are the stories of utter horror.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, well, so far you've mostly only heard the utter horror ones, and I'm saving those other 99% for when I really need them. But if you can imagine it, once upon a time when I was a young man with hair darker than it is now, we got it in our head that we should prove our mettle. And though a Dracona hasn't been sighted in generations, there's got to be one out there somewhere, and we're going to go find it. Now, if you want the short version, we almost got hung for desertion. The War of the Cross hadn't really started yet, and so it wasn't that big a problem, but, you know, drinking and trying to prove your strength as a soldier without a war around to try to prove it in, as young people are dumb enough to believe that such a thing means a damn thing. But so we ended up walking around the Iron Mountains for on 3 weeks.
Wandering around.
Well, really, we were moving with purpose for about the first 3 days, and then after that we got lost. Because we were stone cold drunk for the first 2 days. We actually almost started a war before the War of the Cross, because we ended up across borders. When we saw a town, we were so happy we just started running towards it. We finally made it back. Well, that town wasn't in Ison, but they saw a group of armed and armored Isoners, only a dozen strong, but that was still enough with all of us charging in, cheering, which they saw as roaring, that they sent out what little militia they had. Cooler heads prevailed that day, but
I'm guessing
well,
you
the war
weren't.
across could have gone very differently if we were already at war with Avalon beforehand.
Only you would start a war before war.
We were bored, young, and dumb. And the worst part is we never found a dragon. They might actually be gone for good.
I mean, mythical creatures have a way of proving us wrong when they want to. Okay. My mother, Giulietta Gustavo, she would... I swear the stories that she would tell me as we were sitting below decks, putting me to bed, rock of the ship, were to try and keep me out of trouble. Because, of course, I was never any trouble on the ship.
Dear, sweet child like you, I imagine, never a problem.
Never. I'd only be hanging by the rigging upside down on a regular basis, just for the fun of it. But one of these nights, she told me the story. It was before El Tiburon. A creature with tentacles, shark heads. It would go under ships, and the tentacles would wrap around the front, on the mast, on the maiden's head. It would just pull on it and start to pull it down. And then it would bump the ship again and see if anybody would fall over. The Luska. She told me of a young, very arrogant child. I wonder why it was always a child. That was playing up in the riggings that fell off. And the thing, as soon as somebody fell in the water, would release its tentacles and go swimming over to it, and its 3 heads would rip whoever fell in the water apart. And of course, me being the smart-ass child that I am, would ask, how can it swim with 3 heads? How could it get around with tentacles? Doesn't make any sense that it would be those colors, Mom. Shortly after that, we ran into a siren.
I always wondered about those.
It was at that point I started realizing that not all the stories may be true, but I better not scoff at all of them. Thankfully,
even some of the stories I've heard from your crews, I'm really just wondering why any of you ever get back in the water. We have perfectly good roads. You could get from Cathay to Avalon, turn back around, go into Castile, and we could just ride off all of the islands and never bother going there and leave them to themselves without perfectly good dry land. Roads, wagons. Sure, every time you go through ice and you have to deal with all sorts of other problems that are as bad as what's in the water, evidently, but...
Yes, but if you don't go to the islands, you can't have coconut, pineapple.
I'm still not sure what one of those are, despite the fact I keep hearing you talk about them.
All right. I promise that one of these times when we hit Labuca, the trick is, when you go to Labuca, you offer the harbor master rum. And by the end of your voyage, he will hand you pineapple in a small cask of water. Because it's a tradition that comes back from the first Treaty of the Three Ships. A couple of ships came in and wanted to port at Labuka right after it had been liberated, and they had just elected their governor from all the prisoners that were left behind. And rumor had it that the creature underneath the island was being controlled by the governor. And he could have set it out
There's a
on any of the
feature
ships.
under the Sailor Island.
Yeah. No one's seen it.
And you have pine trees that grow fruit.
It's called a pineapple. It's like this big, sweet, yellow. It's more of a bush, actually, not a tree. Don't ask me why. I don't do plants. I just eat them. It's also really good to have to keep away the scurvy, because you really don't want that.
So we have to sail to the island to get the thing to prevent the scurvy. We're going to get sail into the island.
Well, I mean, if you don't eat your fruits and vegetables otherwise, you'll get scurvy even if you stay on land your entire life. It just happens to be a good source. I would think as a medic, you would actually know about some of these things.
I'm still trying to wrap my head around the pineapple. So it's a bush that gives apples, but should we just say to Labuka? Can we work that in? I feel like this is one of those you won't believe it till you see it.
Yes, we'll have to do that one of these days. Yeah, I've had that feeling for a bit too. And you'll notice the kind of feelings of... You'll notice that movement. Bruce is getting twitchy again.
Yeah. Between Bruce and my knee, we know something bad's coming over the horizon.
Yeah.
At least my knee don't move around too much, though.
There is that. Though I'm looking forward to one of these days, Bruce just jumping out onto like my hand or something and scaring all the living royalty out of Mez.
You know, I think our opportunity there might have passed. But man, if you could have done that maybe just a couple months ago, we might have been able to prevent a whole lot of this.
Nah, that one has a good way of just ignoring things. But the momentary look in their eyes. We'll see.
If you want to scare her, we could just ship up to Eisman and grab a few ghouls for her. Hide one under her bed, maybe.
Honestly, they're scared enough of that Heather. The Heather.
You know, I've always liked the flower. I don't get the big deal.
It's not the flower. It was who gifted it.
She still won't tell me.
She didn't tell you. You've noticed that Heather stays fresh as dew, right? Fresh as the morning dew.
No.
It's also out of season.
I haven't seen it because she won't let me see it. I assume when she kept talking about it, she was talking about... The Heather is still around.
Yeah.
Why is she letting you see it?
Because I'm a girl, and I go into the girls' cabin.
Okay, that does make sense. But either way. So you knew, Cass knew, so all of you were hiding it from me then.
I was hiding nothing. You also know that she's wearing the stuff on her neck, right? That
Yes, it
little
was perfume.
perfume made from the heather flowers. Every time she opens it up, you can smell it.
I need to have a talk with that girl.
She's just going to deny that it was the O'Bannon that gave it to her.
It was what?
Really, Kristoff, you cannot connect these dots. What other magical creature have we gotten ourselves involved in that likes to taunt us, and that one in particular?
See, I made the mistake of believing the things she said to me.
If you ever need a clarification, come to the one of the rest of us. You know that I'll give it to you.
I did. Cass told me whatever she said. So great. The only people I can trust now is the pirate and the thief.
I would say that's a good place to be, because at least you know our motives.
You can trust a dishonest person to be dishonest, I guess. Honest people, you never know what they're up to.
I mean, I would be offended. But at the same time, you know, we've all had our moments.
You got a ship with a whole bunch of fake papers in a smuggling compartment. I ain't saying it's wrong, I'm just saying it's not honest.
Haven't had to smuggle anything with the ship yet.
Other than...
I have no clue what you're talking about, because we don't have that. That's property of somebody else.
Why do they call him Good King Sandoval anyway?
Because Bad King Sandoval has a horrible ring to it?
It would really fit the Inquisition propaganda a little bit better.
Not in the country, though.
Yeah, I'll have to Cass. I'd ask Cass, but I have a feeling I'm just going to get an answer that I won't understand because it's way too Castilian.
That's entirely possible as well. Every now and then, I have to sit there and retranslate what she says. Okay.
And scene.